Ms. McKay?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Gabby McKay. I hope everybody knows me by now. I'm from Patterson Houses in the Bronx. I'm still coming asking for help. We need someone from here. Now I brought the old tag and the markers down here because I couldn't get a letter. Someone sent letters to the tenants and like to put the sign on side the building. Sometimes you have to put up something for people to see. So when they come out the building, they would see the sign and they would start thinking not to put the garbage out. The guys do their job. And I'm getting a little tired of coming out, walking over little bags from the grocery store. We have to work together. The tenants and Nigel, we all have to come and work together. And one thing I would like to say is the new chairperson here.
No,
He
he doesn't start yet.
Okay, all right. Now I'm speaking to y'all. I've come down, I don't like to beg for something for 2 or 3 months and 4 or 5 months. I've been asking for the sign to put on the wall. We can put like a plastic over if it rains, it won't get wet. Asking the tenants, please help keep it clean because that is where we live. And this is where we should keep it clean. We have started, I came up with the idea, always coming up with ideas, with the super. The people have tickets been in for a year. We want to start working on those tickets, fixing up the people's apartment. Then what housing need to do, go back and have meetings, every tenant that moves in, and they used to do it. And the ones that don't know me, I had to have a husband before I got in Nitro. We had meetings, the manager in the basement and don't love the coffee. We don't need that. You're not going to go in there to eat and drink. You're going to learn how to keep clean where you live. And as long as they throw the garbage out, we don't have rats. As long as the garbage is out there, we're going to get the rats back. And you only need one. And we used to say down south, you need the father and he go back and get the whole family. Please, I'm asking someone. I'll be 90 next month. And I thank God that able me to keep on going because where I live, I like to live decent. It's only I live there now. All of my grands got a 4 or 5 college education and moved on and got their family. I taught them, you got your own apartment, you keep it clean. My great grand is 6 and 10. You have to clean up your clothes. You have to put your shoes in. This is how you teach children when they're small. And look like everybody's saying this is generation. Generation have nothing to do with it. Just need to set up some classes and have these classes and teach these people the do's and the don'ts. And if they don't do it, you find them. You can send me a letter. I won't pay the bill, but you can find me a letter. Send everybody a letter. This must stop because it's not healthy. Smelling garbage walking around because it's going to be 90 today and 90. The guy cleans up. I come back at 12 o'clock. Look like there hasn't been there. Somebody give me an answer today. Where's the old tag? What did they do with it? I paid for it. And if you need more, I'll bring it. If it costs too much for housing, they send a letter from their office. And we got to work together. Is someone listening to me?
So if I can, Ms. McKay, why don't I come up? I haven't been up to Johnson Houses in.
Excuse me?
I said I have not been up there in a little while. Why don't I come up and meet you? We'll walk around together. We'll see where we should put signs. I will say that we're doing 2 things that I think will hopefully address your issue. We're rolling out the alternative work schedule. More developments over the next month. We'll have a new schedule for caretakers. And so we'll have caretakers working longer hours each day. Right? And then also too, I want to show you some pictures of, we're installing new hopper doors, right, at the first floors. Right? So they're large enough for the residents when they come down to put their trash in right into the trash chute. We're not able to do that on the upper floors, right, because the chute is too narrow, but on the ground floor, we're putting in larger doors, right, that accommodate larger bags.
So we have a incinerator working 24 hours. The little bags, I speak to the tenants. When they come out, please put it in the incinerator. Some say, I thought the incinerator for the other side. No, it's for the whole building. I'm at 2645 3rd Avenue, 4F. My phone number is 718-292-4946. And God, I pray. When is the new superintendent, the chairperson will be here? Because see, if he's gonna come to New York and he's gonna work here, have he ever worked in all, how long the developer that he had worked in? There's a lot of projects here. We don't want no one to come and sit in the office. We need someone once in a while to come out in the community and see what we are doing. I am tired of looking at these apartments on TV. That's why I came up with the idea, and I got people working with me.
Right.
Because I don't want everybody to think we live like that.
So you have me for now.
Okay, I'm talking fast because I only have 3 minutes.
So I will do a call and we'll meet
And
we'll get
another
together.
thing, I've been calling Water Street trying to get Mr. Powell. Nobody knows who he is. How can you work in an office and work with your colleagues when you don't know your next door neighbor? We have a tenant supervisor. She came in 2 years ago. She's been there 2 years, it's supposed to, yeah. Need training. And the man that was there sworn her in didn't come back and train her how to work with people. Now I need somebody from here, a water place, to call the manager and set up a meeting. I want to have a meeting with her and with the people that's on the board with me. She don't want to do it. Now we need help. See, I'm there to help her. I don't want nobody's job. I work long enough. But I said one thing, I will, as long as God able me to move and walk, I will work in housing because I can't stand to see garbage and stuff around. I'm not used to it. And I'm from the South. Will somebody please, I get tired of begging.
Ms. McKay,
But right now I'm begging for help.
Ms. McKay, I will call you and I will come up and meet with you next week.
All right, thank you, Shane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
McKay. Appreciate it. Mr. Myers, step up.
Has anyone talked of the work that you guys are doing?
Me too.
Good morning. My name is James Myers. I'm from Patterson Houses. And also, I almost died last week. I spoke to you guys about the stoves, the range that we have. Those stoves are no good. Last week, my apartment was full up with carbon monoxide. And luckily, my wife came in. Outside of that, I would have been gone to call 911, and the ambulance came. Okay, so they have to have someone to come and check those refurbished stoves that we're getting. We're not getting new stoves, we're getting refurbished. Okay? Number one, they came and brought another stove in. They put it up. The oven door was bent. Guy said he was going to send someone up to fix it. They never came back. I had hot water. I don't have cold water in my kitchen. I have hot water. For 1 year, I had hot water. I don't have no cold water. Okay? Now, what we are getting on, we have a contractor that putting up doors and all that stuff in. For the last umpteen months, they put up doors and stuff like that, and locks. You had a thing on television not long about the doors being secured. That's not true. The doors that they put up, half of them are not working, not locked. It's not, how would I say, they're not putting up right. The contractors are not doing it. I think housing is only giving them money because they're sure someone is taking a bribe because it's not put up correct. That's the doors and the stuff. Number two, we need pointing in housing, in Patterson housing for 35 years or longer. This building haven't been pointed for 35 years. It haven't been. Okay, we need and also I spoke to the gentleman before and he said he was coming over to Patterson quite a while ago. I haven't seen him yet, but I would like to see him whenever he comes to see, because I spoke to him about the boilers, quite a few, but at that time I have never seen him. And
So same day I go see Ms. McKay, I will come and see you.
there's no problem, because that was a year ago that we spoke and it never happened. But I hope this time we will, get together. But there's other things. We need a sign that says no loitering, no panhandle in each of these buildings. This where the people cannot be standing around loitering or whatever. But they put up these doors got to be secured. When come out, none of the locks are working. The doors are not working. The doors, half of them are broken. When they put it up, they didn't put it up correctly. And housing did not do their job by checking it. They were just saying, well, hey, we got a check, we're gonna give you this check, and that's that. So someone was getting something. I see where they're donating all this money for work being done to other boroughs. I was reading a thing, every time I see something, it's either Brooklyn, Coney Island houses for Sandy. What's wrong with Patterson? Patterson haven't received nothing too much. We get the leftover from everything. We don't get nothing. Everything comes down, it's either leftover. For the last umpteen years, they started working on a boiler for us. We haven't had a boiler in umpteen years. They would send up a donkey boiler. One year they sent a donkey boiler and they didn't connect it up. For the last couple of years, they connected up this donkey boiler. Now they're working on a boiler system for us, hopefully. And hopefully for the winter, we will get some kind of heat. But for Patterson, we are the misguided because they're sure not doing nothing for Patterson. All the rest of the projects, like Munhaven is a new project. Patterson is one of the oldest projects, and they haven't done nothing. Okay, all the new projects that comes along, they point to new projects. Patterson, no. When it rains, it pulls into from the side of the thing. So that's one of the things that they should do to Patterson Health. Someone should be from here to come and check out Patterson, see what it is. It's a beautiful place, but it needs help. And the people in Patterson need help. So the manager, she comes, she does her job, the super does his job. But it's up to the people that live in that development to fight to keep it clean and to make Patterson live. And it's up to you guys to help Patterson live. When I say make it live, it makes it vibrant so everyone can say, well, this is Patterson project. It's a Patterson project where we try to keep it up and afloat. Okay, and
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Myers.
Okay,
General
thanks
Manager's
again.
office will be contacting you. And Ms. Ortiz, Nancy Ortiz. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, General Manager, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. So to achieve my Section 3 hires on the agenda, I'm doing that first, and then I'll go on everything else. Oversight on the Section 3 hires, how is this oversight done, and how are the resident leaders obtaining updated and appropriate lists when these contractors come in order to get viable Section 3 hires and maintaining them employable as well? There are many contractors who hire Section 3 and then they get fired because when they go to the next development, they hire from that development. My understanding is Section 3 hires is to maintain viable employment and long-term, not to be temporary or as long as the contractor has a contract with the New York City Housing Authority. So I've met my obligation on the agenda. Thank you. Next. DHS, ACS, and Department of Mental Health. There is no follow-up between these three agencies and the residents that they are sending to live in public house in NYCHA. They are supposed to follow, if I'm not mistaken, they are supposed to follow the residents that they are providing permanent housing from temporary into permanent housing transition to ensure that they are being transitioned properly and following the protocols of where they are now living in permanent housing. This is not happening. A lot of the garbage issues that we are having in Vladeck houses is due to placing garbage in the middle of the hallway, putting it under the dumpster, instead of putting it inside the hopper, putting it by the cycle bins, doing dump garbage. Oh, you have no idea. I've got pictures. Anyway, so I think these three agencies really do need to be contacted to ensure that they are doing their due diligence in the residents that they're sending for permanent housing and following their transition. Lead abatement. What is the exact procedure, the protocol, and the explanation to the residents? People are getting calls from planning units, setting up appointments, but they're not explaining as to why that particular apartment requires a dusting. And many residents are a little confused. I myself am as well, as I've gotten 2 phone calls and even a threat that they're going to drill out my lock if I don't let them come in to dust. I don't have children under 6. I don't have grandchildren under 6. So I'm a little confused. I mean, nobody wants to explain to me why they have to get into my apartment. If they explain to me, then I'll give them access. That's all I need, is just an explanation.
No, certainly. So under local law 1, if we were private, it would just be for children under 6. But because under federal regulations, it's any apartment where a child could reside, it means that all apartments basically have to be checked unless we have a federal exemption.
Is there an age limit?
Nope.
Okay. This is what needs to be conveyed so that residents understand, because a lot of residents are declining because their mindset is, I don't have children under 6.
Right. Yeah, there are different rules for that, for the housing authority
Mhm.
that are federal, that are separate from what a private New York City landlord would have to do.
Appreciate it. So now I will take this forward to Vladeck houses.
There you go.
Okay, civility.
Okay.
There's a lack of civility between lower management and upper management with residents, and how they are spoken to, and how they are treated, and how they are addressed. And this is unacceptable. You have many people who work hard, and they come in seeking assistance. Again, the housing assistant, that is the job of the housing assistant, to assist the resident with whatever issues they may have. Instead, they are treated as if they are cumbersome and bothersome, and they're taking up their valuable time. And I think that this needs to be addressed. It's very, very important, because it is creating a very unnecessarily angry environment between residents and the workers, and I don't want that. I think that this needs to be addressed across the board. And thank you for approving the extended hours on Wednesday so that working class people can actually have an opportunity to get their issues addressed. And thank you for adding recertifications to the Blitz. It was very welcomed. The garbage truck challenges that we're having at Vladeck houses, I'm going to be having a conversation with Mr. Ferguson, and hopefully we can come to a happy medium. I saw a garbage truck and I want to buy it, so I have to talk to him. Communication between your hearing office and the management office has to become a little better, because you have residents that are receiving hearing notices when they have fully complied with whatever it is that the hearing notice is for, and yet they're still being forced to attend a hearing because the hearing office still has the case as open. And lastly, I wear many hats. I wear the hat as the Community Board 3 Chair for NYCHA in Section 8. I wear the hat as the Community Advisory Committee person for the Federal Monitor. But my most important hat, and when I email and when I call, it is Nancy Ortiz, President of Valatic Houses. That is my primary role, that is my most important role, and that is the role in which I come to you each and every time. The other two roles are every other month. Thank you. Have a good day. Yes,
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Gonzalez.
I need to ask a question. Those three agencies that you mentioned
Yes,
that we need to be in contact with.
yes.
Is this have to do, for example, like social services, where they're being moved from, let's say, a homeless facility into one of our developments, and you're saying that the follow-up has not been done in order to explain to the new housing residents what the do's and don'ts are? And are you also referring to their mental health state as well as the other issues that come with moving from those particular places into our developments? Elaborate a little bit.
Okay, actually, Division of Homeless Services is supposed to do follow-up when they're transitioning from temporary home to permanent home, and this is not being conducted. When you live in a shelter, there is a different mindset of how you do your housekeeping versus when you now come into permanent home. And this is where they're supposed to do transitional follow-up with the residents. ACS is Agency for Children's Services. When the children, I should say, when a child becomes an adult at age 21, now they're transitioning them to go live on their own. And this is also something that is kind of the ropes are cracked somewhere in the middle, because that's not happening either. Then you have Division of Mental Health, Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. We are getting a very large influx of people with mental health issues, and it is becoming very challenging because many have provided a safety issue for residents. And contacting social services through the New York City Housing Authority and Department of Mental Health is proving very challenging, because the timeline between the contact and the timeline in which they show up, it's pretty broad and rangeful. So these three agencies really do need to step up on their policy and procedures and what they're supposed to do and their responsibilities to the people that they're placing in permanent housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone will get back to you on
Thank
the issues. Okay, thank you. Chair, that concludes our public comments portion, and we will proceed with the regular calendar. The first item of business being a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, May 29th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you. We will now proceed to the calendar items. Items 1 through 4.
Good morning, Deborah Goddard from Capital Projects. Item number 1 is the recommendation to award a contract for the restoration at Red Hook East and West, this is Sandy related, to Adams European Contracting in the amount of slightly over $372 million. This is comprehensive Sandy recovery work, including resiliency. Some of you who have been here might remember this is the second bidding of this job. We rejected the first bid because they came in far too high over our estimate. We're pleased with this set of bids. They came in, this contract would be about 7% over our estimate, well within our tolerance for variance. We have had work ongoing there on roofs, but this will take care of the bulk of the work. It is certainly by far our largest Sandy contract. The VNC is pending, therefore this award is not yet final. I should say that Adams was the lowest responsible bidder. It's a women-owned business. They've done work with us in the past in a satisfactory manner, and they are proposing 15 Section 3 hires. Items 2 and 3 relate to ratification of change orders in connection with restoration at Wrangle Houses, also Sandy related. The contractor is Delrick Construction. First change order is in the amount of $46,000. It's a change order 13 that you're voting on. The first item today, item 2, is for $46,000. The item number 3 is the 14th change order in the amount of slightly over $147,000, because in total, the change orders have exceeded 10% of the original bid price. All these change orders are coming to you now. Item number 13, it relates to a design omission in terms of installing stormwater drainage and scuppers. So in connection to that design omission,
13, number 2.
change order 13, item number 2.
Okay.
Thank you. That change order, as I said, is in the amount of approximately $46,000. Change order 14, item number 3, relates to the installation of backflow preventers on the sanitary sewer lines for each building. There are unforeseen conditions and the deterioration of a lot of the existing pipes, and so we had to ask our contractor to fix those. In addition, at one point, there was a sewage flood in one of the basements, and we asked them to address that as well. Therefore, the total cost of this change order is in the amount of, as I said, slightly over $147,000. Mr. Gonzalez.
This is just my curiosity, so I'm not familiar with it. What is a scupper?
It's that little, I'm going to be a real layperson too, right? It's that little thing like along the eaves that causes the water to come down. It directs the water as it's coming off the roof.
Okay.
Someone could give you a better, but you and I understand that, I think.
Okay.
Item number 4 is recommendation to amend the board resolution regarding IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity agreements for AE services for CPD. Next month, we will be voting on new contracts, but given the volume of work we have and trying to keep projects going, we need to extend these contracts, which is within the original purview of the authority to take this second extension. It relates to 16 contracts. This is the second extension, as I've mentioned, and will be paid with a mix of funds to tide us over to having the new contracts in place.
I wanted to ask if in the future we might track some of the larger contracts that we've been approving as a board. And I was struck by the first one, as you know, in its size and scope. So I know Sandy is a huge project in total, and I think you educated me about $3 billion. But I think it would be great that the board see the major big contracts that you're managing from a capital point of view and how the progress is going.
I think we can work with the Office of the Secretary to maybe quarterly report on pipelines, like this is Sandy pipeline, there's the heating pipeline, and you know, the big major pipelines. That would make sense.
Super.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And 5,
Good morning. My name is Anika Lascott, Senior Advisor for Finance. I am seeking board approval on item 5. Resolution 5 seeks approval on our investment activity for the period ending March 31st, 2019. There's been no change to the authority's investment strategy since prior board approval. Our strategy follows HUD's guidelines for safety, yield, liquidity, and maturity. Our investment portfolio balance at the end of March was $1.2 billion. We had a $6.6 million investment income for the quarter, which translates to roughly 2.18% annualized rate of return. The portfolio earned $23.3 million of investment income for the 12 months ending March 31st. Any questions? Thank you.
6 and 7.
Good morning. I'm Bob Morano, NYCHA's Chief Information Officer. I'll be doing items 6 and 7. Item 6 is requesting to amend an agreement with SunGuard Availability Services for IT disaster recovery services. NYCHA uses disaster recovery services in the case of a catastrophic event affecting our 90 Church Street data center. The disaster recovery services will allow NYCHA to restore critical systems like Maximo, Siebel, and Oracle Financials at a remote site. This agreement was originally awarded as a 1-year contract with 4 one-year renewal options. This amendment will fund the final 2 renewal options ending December 31st, 2020. Item number 7 is requesting to amend an agreement with Interface Cable Assemblies and Service Corporation, or ICAS for short, for the maintenance and support of our wireless and wired infrastructure. The authority has over 300 developments consisting of 2,400 buildings. This amendment will fund the support and maintenance of all copper and fiber wiring, all interbuilding wiring, all wireless bridges and access points that support elevator and boiler remote monitoring, as well as CCTV connectivity. This agreement will fund this contract through December 31st, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Jason Goldberg, Associate General Counsel for Corporate Affairs. In March 2019, the Office of Public and Indian Housing at the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development issued guidance allowing public housing agencies to increase their micro-purchase and small purchase procurement thresholds to $10,000 and $250,000 respectively. NYCHA's micro-purchase and small purchase thresholds are presently set at $5,000 and $150,000. These thresholds and NYCHA's general procurement procedures are set forth within NYCHA's Contract Procedure Resolution, commonly referred to as the CPR. Revisions to the CPR were last approved by the board in June 2015. Increasing these two procurement thresholds to the amounts now allowed by HUD would expedite certain lower dollar value procurements undertaken by NYCHA. For instance, NYCHA would now be able to obtain goods and services from a vendor without competition when the contract costs under $10,000 and be able to solicit services from 3 proposers without public advertisement when the contract is valued up to $250,000. In addition to these proposed changes, other substantive changes to the CPR include: 1, adding references to design-build contracting in light of recent legislation enacted by New York State authorizing NYCHA to use same. 2, adding references to NYCHA's project labor agreement. And 3, increasing the threshold at which insurance policies must be approved by the board from $100,000 to $500,000. Various other non-material updates and clarifications have also been made, such as updating titles and NYCHA department names, adding cross-references to the public housing law, and updating references to HUD's capital fund program. Accordingly, we seek the board's authorization to amend and restate NYCHA's CPR to incorporate these changes. And unless the board has any questions, I respectfully ask the board to approve the amended and restated CPR.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Paulina Bakhtiar from the Director for Preservation with NYCHA's Real Estate Development Unit. I'm here to present on number 9, which asks for authorization to amend Board Resolution 18-92750. Pursuant to said board resolution, the board authorized the authority to submit documents to HUD to obtain the necessary approval to release 2 of the LOC2 developments, Independence Towers and Williams Plaza, located in Brooklyn, from the Declaration of Restrictive Covenants in order to retain the developments outside of the federal public housing program and convert approximately 1,075 out of the 1,321 units of the development, which have not yet converted to Section 8 under the voluntary conversion plan, from a Section 9 public housing ACC to a Section 8 PPV HAP, prescribed by HUD, and upon HUD approval to enter into one or more long-term ground leases with one or more development partners for the rehabilitation and continued use of the developments as affordable housing. Today, authorization is requested to amend that board resolution to include 4 additional developments and authorities request to HUD to release them from the dorks, and those developments are 344 East 28th Street in Manhattan, Wise Towers in Manhattan, Linden, and Boulevard Houses in Brooklyn. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is this part of the 62,000
Yes.
units?
Mhm.
Thank you.
So this will round out the balance of the unfunded developments. So after this, the remainder of our conversions will be done through two disposition methods, which is RAD and Section 18.
And how many have been, so that's the total now is 3651 in this portion?
So for these developments that we're seeking authorization for today, we have not yet started conversions under PACT. However, since 2008, we have been converting families voluntarily and adding units to the HAP contract upon turnover.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And 10 through 30.
Good morning, Chair, GM, board members. My name is Jose Atkinson. I'm the acting EVP for operations. And I have resolutions number 10 through 30. So the first three, operations is a very busy place. So resolutions 10 through 30 have to do with a request to approve a change order for 4 separate contracts in the 5 boroughs for boilers. And it's welding and repair services. So there were some initial questions that I'd like to go over. And one of them was where are boilers located? They are located throughout the city in the various developments. Number 2 was, what was the estimate based on? Well, the estimate was based on usage. And also, when you're talking about a boiler, you have to talk about the ancillary equipment that's associated with that. So when we're talking about weld repairs, it's not just on boilers, but it's also on condensate tanks, feed water tanks, and the like. So when we talk about, what was the basis behind such a large increase and how we missed the estimate, I don't know that it's such a question that we missed the estimate, is that the summertime is a time when we really look to do repairs on our boilers, so we ensure that we can provide heat during the wintertime. So not so much in missing an estimate, but lessons learned from last year. So this year we can go ahead and we can have a better heating season and push our numbers down further. So I just wanted to talk about that before we got into it. Yes, sir.
I still have a question with regards to something that I read and an answer that I received with regards to what you just mentioned. Now, there's a part that said that the estimate is based on usage. So if we're talking about what about the boilers that are not in use? And so how do they figure in to this particular contract? How do they figure into the formula?
So
as
any piece of equipment that would be in need of welding, in use, not in use, but as a lesson learned from last year, we're looking to make that repair on that equipment.
Okay,
So Joey, I think if that's correct, I just want to make sure that I'm in the right direction.
so if it's based on usage,
So if we
then
didn't,
that's the,
let's say we used a boiler all year and now it's turned off, okay, for the summertime. We still need to make the repairs on that boiler, if it's a welding repair, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just on the boiler. It could be on a tank that's associated with the boiler. So that's where we would make repairs on equipment that's not in use also. Or if we had to have a planned outage in order to take that equipment down to make the repairs to that.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
It was a little confusing when they said it's based on usage.
Well, usage as an overall holistic approach, because we use these boilers quite a bit during the year, during the heating season, but we also have planned outages when we take them out to make repairs. So based on our lessons learned last year from the heating season, we're really looking to be aggressive this off-season to making our boiler repairs.
And Mr. Gonzalez, I'm happy to talk to you after the board meeting.
Sure, because I also have further questions, the interest of saving time, right?
Okay, so let me just read. So with the funding sources operating and federal, and the amounts vary from 2.5 million, 2.8 million for Brooklyn, 2 million for Manhattan, 800,000 for Queens and Staten Island. And the authority is requesting to approve a change order to this requirement contract awarded to New York Boiler for boiler welding and repair services authorized by Board Resolution 1712-2014 for an initial 2-year term with one-year renewal option to increase the not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term and the 1-year renewal option term, which commenced on June 7th, 2018, is continuing through June 6th, 2021. And that's for items 10 through 13. Any further questions regarding that? Okay, we'll move on to item 14, which is an authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirements contract awarded to M&RR Construction Corp. For the cleaning of basement and crawl spaces, which did not require initial board authorization for an initial 2-year term with one-year renewal option to increase the not to exceed amount, which is $100,007. during the remainder of the initial 2-year term and the 1-year renewal option, which commenced on July 10th, 2018, and is continuing through July 9th, 2021. Any questions there? Number 15 is authorization of a change order to requirements contract 1827148, awarded to Metrocity Renovations, Inc., and that's for repair and replacement of hopper doors, as the GM talked about earlier, and pans, which should not require initial board authorization for an initial 2-year term, with 1-year renewal option to increase and not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provisions of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term, and the 1-year renewal option term, which commenced on September 12th, 2018, and is continuing through September 11th, 2021. Yes, ma'am.
If you could just explain again why the large increase? In other words, there are a number of these contracts.
So I think in the initial session, we talked about the agreement and initial inspections and more inspections that are getting done, which creates more work.
Right.
So as we look into the agreement and see the items that we need to have an increased, vision on, that's going to cause an increase in the amount of these contracts.
So I think it would be good to put that explanation in these so that we know this is really.
Okay,
being
whether
driven
it's
by-
whether it's related to the agreement or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that would be very helpful.
Very good. Okay, number 16 is the authorization of a change order requirements contract 1821539, awarded to City Star Renovations, Inc. And this is for tub glazing. So this is also $224,000. It's various Queen Staten Island. Any questions there for tub glazing? Okay, items 17 through 21. So this is an authorization is requested to approve a change order to this requirements contract awarded to Dirty Gloves Drain Services, LLC. And this is for sewer rotting with water jetting, including closed circuit television camera inspection. And this is for various developments in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, citywide NextGen, citywide GO1. And that's 17 through 21. Any questions regarding that?
22.
22, I'm sorry.
Again, increase due to the HUD agreement.
Correct. And I think there was an initial question on the CCTV portion of this. So that's an inspection process that you would do with a push camera or a robotic crawl camera. They use it a lot in sewer drains and things of that nature. So that allows you to see the condition of the piping, any roots that may be busting through before we actually make repairs. So we're making intelligent repairs because we can see what's happened inside the pipe.
In order to avoid unnecessary holes. in
That's
the wall.
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Number 23 is an authorization of a change order requirement contract 1805325, awarded to Mercury Paint. And this is to purchase and delivery of various types of AquaZoom paint. And that also did not require initial board authorization for a 3-year term. And that is various citywide.
Did you say the amount?
The amount is $207,000. What I did want to mention about the prior one was that is a minority woman-owned business for the closed circuit television and the flushing and the rotting. Any questions on 23? Number 24 is authorization of a change order to requirements contract 1829-153, awarded to Sahara Construction Corp. And this is for the removal and installation of vinyl composition floor tiles in apartments. So there was an initial question on this one also. So generally what happens is if it's through the vendor, it would either be apartment-wide or room-wide. And if it was a repair by a maintenance worker, maybe specific tiles, depending on what the application would be.
Okay, so it's not piecemeal.
Not under the contract for the vendor. It's either the whole apartment or the room.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then any further questions on that? before we move on?
And just say the amount and.
And that amount is $90,000. Number 25 is an authorization to amend the agreement with Output Services Group, Inc., and this is for $100,000. The authorization is requested to amend this agreement with Output Services Group, Inc. for lead-based paint and window guard annual notices, which should not require initial board authorization for an initial 3-year term, with 2 1-year renewal options to increase and not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 3-year term, which commenced on December 28, 2018, and is continuing through December 27, 2021. Questions? Number 26 is an award of indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for the purchase and delivery of kitchen countertops. This amount is 1.3 million. Authorization is requested to award this IDIQ contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Visual Millwork and Fixture Manufacturing, Inc., for the not-to-exceed amount. This IDIQ contract also provides for one-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Number 27 is award of an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for the purchase and delivery of kitchen countertops. This also is going to Rhino Manufacturing Corporation in the amount of $1.3 million, and the scope is the same. Number 28, Karma contract for the startup, preventative maintenance, and summer winter turnover of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, and these are at our chiller sites. And that's various sites in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Staten Island. This is $348,000, and this is for the requirement contract to the sole responsive and responsible bidder, which is High Tech Air Conditioning, for the not-to-exceed amount, which was $348,000. Questions? Number 29 is an award of indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for the purchase and delivery of plastic laminated wood doors in the amount of $2.2 million. Authorization is requested to award this IDIQ contract to the sole responsive and responsible bidder, Cuisine Crotone, Inc., for the not-to-exceed amount. This IDIQ contract also provides for one-year renewal option to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. And last but not least, number 30 is authorization to ratify the award requirement contract for the startup, preventative maintenance, and summer winter turnover of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. Was the first one was chiller, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I just want to make sure because it was the
Yes.
opposite when I did the
The
pre-brief.
number change.
So condenser, and these are for our condenser sites. And this is for $3.1 million. And the authorization is requested to ratify the award of this contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, High Tech Air Conditioning Services, Inc., for the not-to-exceed amount. The requirement contract also provides for 3 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there's one added resolution, number 31.
Good morning once again. Presenting item 31. Authorization is requested to, 1, appoint Catherine Garcia as Vice Chair of the Board of the New York City Housing Authority pursuant to Section 1.06 of the authority's bylaws upon Catherine Garcia's resignation as interim chair on July 7, 2019, and her appointment as a member of the New York City Housing Authority on July 8, 2019, and 2, confer the powers and duties of the chair as enumerated in Section 1.05 of the authority's bylaws to Catherine Garcia, Vice Chair of the Board of the Authority, effective July 8, 2019, and upon Catherine Garcia's resignation as interim chair on July 7, 2019, and her appointment as a member of the New York City Housing Authority on July 8, 2019, pursuant to Section 1.06B3 of the authority's bylaws. Such powers and duties shall remain with Catherine Garcia until the earlier of 1, the mayor's appointment of a chair or acting interim chair pursuant to Section 4023 of the New York State Public Housing Law, 2, expiration of Catherine Garcia's tenure as vice chair, or 3, the termination or expiration of Catherine Garcia's appointment as a member of the board of the authority. Consistent with Section 1.06B1 of the authority's bylaws, Catherine Garcia, while maintaining the aforementioned powers and duties as vice chair, will not be entitled to any of the salary attaching to the office of the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Chair, 31 items were presented for board approval. May I have a motion to approve?
Before we make a motion to approve, I recuse myself from item number 31.
Okay, 31 items were presented for board approval. May I have a motion to approve the 31 items with a notation that the chair has recused herself from item number 31?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Who was that? Paula? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye, except for 31.
Yes, exactly. None opposed. Thank you. We'll now have the chair's remarks.
Thank you very much. So this is beginning of a new era. As many of you know, the mayor has announced the appointment of Gregory Rust to take on as permanent chair starting in August. He has already started reaching out to members of the senior staff. And I believe we'll be here in mid-July to have actual meetings with folks and hit the ground running. He definitely seems determined to hit all of the different notes as we move forward. I think he understands the challenges ahead and is ready to take them on. But I just wanted to thank everyone. I knew that when I took on the role as interim chair 4 months ago, it would be a challenging assignment, and I would say that it has been a challenging assignment. But I really think that it also is an honor every day to be able to serve the 400,000 residents in traditional public housing, as well as the residents in the Section 8 program. It has been my pleasure to actually go out and see change happening. For example, even though probably wasn't the best weather to go to Ocean Bay, but seeing residents who are excited about their apartments, the landscaping, everything about their quality of life, we are really beginning to make transformational change, as well as at Campos, where they're like, would you like to see my bathroom? Would you like to see my air conditioning system? It is very heartening. So I have been very honored to be able to be part of that and really see this move forward to the 62,000 units. We will use one of our many tools to invest in. I think we've had a really fabulous engagement with residents at Fulton Houses. It's a complicated idea, but it's all about making sure that we are moving money into the apartments. That is the most critical thing. And since I've been here, I really do believe we've laid the foundation around being more effective landlords and bringing ourselves into compliance. We have created the compliance office, the EH&S office, as well as the quality assurance office. In April, we kicked off the initiative to XRF 134,000 apartments. At NYCHA, nothing happens in a small way. We always got to go really, really big. I think that our colleagues at other public housing authorities are like, what? That's like the size of, I don't know, Atlanta or Miami. As the general manager spoke about, the alternative work schedules makes a big difference. Having folks at the development doing the basic janitorial work from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week changes the quality of life for residents in a way that seems very straightforward, but you need to have the resources on the ground to make that happen. So these are just, I think, a few of the pieces and hopefully a foundation for Gregory Rust to pick up as we move forward. But it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to continue to take money. And so I am very heartened to think about the fact that the commitment really seems to be there at the moment to the NYCHA residents. And so I really am also very honored to be able to step down in one way, but take on the vice chair role to continue to be able to help and influence the commitment we are all making to NYCHA residents. And so as I go back to the Department of Sanitation in mid-July and to the senior advisor role for Lead Free, I will always be thinking about the issues that are happening here because I think they're so critical to the city as a whole. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the residents. I'm not gone quite yet, and as vice chair, I'll be able to manage. I'll be here at the next board meeting. Any of the things that are specific to the chair's office. So stepping a little bit back, allowing Mr. Rust to take on a larger and larger role moving forward and hit the ground running. So thank you all it's been a real honor.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Chair, being that all matters before the board today have been addressed, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.